Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the new Perkins Administrator Orientation. This is as Brittany said, fourth and final session, and I just want to thank you all for joining us. Again, I'm Janelle Washington, Director for Career and Technical Education at the Illinois Community College Board. The rest of our core ICCB Perkins staff is not able to join us. They're either traveling or off today. So, but they are Felita Murphy, Katie Velez, and then Aja Howard. And then Dr. Amy Julian of ICSPS isn't able to join us today either, but I would like to thank Amy and Brittany from ICSPS for helping us to facilitate this series. Okay, so on today's agenda, it's a welcome and then an orientation overview. We'll talk about collaboration, opportunities, or ways to facilitate collaboration, as well as some state and national resources, and then we'll end. I don't anticipate us going the full time today, but we'll see how it goes. So as we wrap up the fourth and final session, I just want to note again, as I kind of talk through every session, that this orientation came about at the request of Perkins administrators throughout the state who wanted a comprehensive introduction from ICCB around administering Perkins 5, administering the grant locally. So this orientation series was designed to provide information to support new Illinois post-secondary Perkins administrators in navigating the Perkins 5 grant. As I noted, some of the information throughout the session may have been repetitive if you have been working in the post-secondary space or with Perkins for a while, or if you had, really robust training at your institution when you navigated to your Perkins administrator role. And so with that in mind, we didn't make any assumptions throughout the orientation as far as the knowledge of individuals who might be attending. We just kind of wanted to level set and address this from a new Perkins administrator perspective. And so thank you all for, coming along on the journey, providing input and feedback and participation throughout the series. Really appreciate you showing up. Again, here's our ICCB CTE team, including our core Perkins team, who Perkins administrators will most frequently communicate with. And we'll just get right into today's topic. So the first is collaboration. And I don't have a lot on this. A lot of collaboration will come through the meetings and the professional development opportunities that I'll highlight at the end of the presentation. But I do want to point out that we have two listservs that we send information to primarily from ICCB regarding your Perkins grant, regarding post-secondary CTE in general. So the first one is the Perkins Administrators Listserv, and this is designed to be for Perkins administrators, but we have several individuals on that listserv who are not Perkins administrators, and that's fine too, as long as we have information for Perkins administrators, as long as we have the Perkins administrators on the listserv. And so if you're not on this listserv, please email either me or your CTE liaison so we can get you added, because when information goes out of anything related to Perkins, we're going to send it to that listserv. There's also the post-secondary CTE listserv, and that's more broad for anyone who works at your institution and works with post-secondary CTE. So primarily, as a Perkins administrator, you're going to get all of the information that goes to the post-secondary CTE listserv. The Perkins Administrator listserv was incorporated with the post-secondary CTE listserv until we navigated to a new listserv platform. And so if you receive duplicate information, that's because we're likely to make sure that we're covering and reaching our entire audience. You might get one email to your Perkins Administrator listserv and the same email to the post-secondary CTE listserv. So if you're getting duplicative. We are, I can't say exactly how active. I mean, it just varies depending on the time of year, the information that we need to share. And so, I mean, you could go a month, perhaps a few weeks without receiving any listserv emails. Um, but if you're not receiving any information at all, please reach out and let us check to make sure that you are on the listservs. Because again, anytime there's grant related information about Perkins, whether that's a deadline that's approaching, a new initiative, something has changed, we need to provide information. Like recently with the budget amendment process, quarterly reporting reminders, things like that. So if you're not receiving any information, first I would say check your firewall, check your spam, and then let us know, and we can double check to make sure that you're on the listservs. And I will like to also point out too that um the individuals who are members of the listserv. So you as a Perkins administrator, you as a post-secondary CTE practitioner, you are more than welcome to use these listservs to collaborate, ask questions of other Perkins administrators or folks in the post-secondary CTE space. We don't get that a lot with these two listservs. It's usually ICCB sending information, but you are more than welcome. If you have a question, you want to know how your colleagues are doing things across the field, please feel free to utilize these listservs. And just know if you do receive, because of the functionality of listservs, if you receive any correspondence from an ICCB listserv, if you reply, you're not replying directly to the individual who sent it. So if I sent an email through the listserv and you click reply, it's going to go to the entire listserv and not just to me. So if you want that information to come to me only or to forward it, to someone, just forward it and put my email address in there and then send it. Or whoever sends the information from the listserv. You won't be replying directly, and there should be an automated message that populates at the bottom of in all emails that come from ICCB listservs to provide that reminder. All right, and so next we'll dive into resources. And so I kind of looked at this from the perspective of state resources, federal resources, membership organizations, professional development, things like that. And so we'll start with state resources. So as we kind of talk throughout this orientation, the ICCB is the state coordinating board for the community college system, responsible for administering the Public Community College Act, statewide planning and coordination of the community college system, administering grants, data collection, and reporting for the state, and things like that. So the way that I've set these slides up is to kind of introduce the organization and then to provide some highlights. And so on the next slide, I just when these come out to you as the resources, you should be able to click the link up top for the organization name, and that'll take you to the organization's website, the general website for the organization. And then down below, I've highlighted 3 areas that I think are useful for Perkins administrators, but this does not by any means mean that the entire website is not useful. These are just things that I have identified, and I'm encouraging you to check out the full website for a wealth of other information. And so I'll just note here first that the ICCB website is really the first stop for information about ICCB and the community college system as a whole. There's information like the community college directory. If you want to know, who's the president, what's the contact information for any of the 48 community colleges in the state, you can check out that directory. There's also district maps. So if you're like, what district is my college located in? Or I want to work with another community college, what district are they in? There are maps. There's also a directory of programs that lets you know what programs are being offered at each of the community colleges. If you want to research, maybe you're thinking about bringing a new program of study um, to your institution, and you want to see what other community colleges offer that program to kind of, collaborate or kind of benchmark and brainstorm, check out the directory of programs. There's also all sorts of data and reports that are generated by ICCB on the website. The ICCB system rules manual is there, as well as any other policies. And then there are specific web pages for each division or department within ICCB, which talk about here in a second. But again, the below are the highlights that I think are useful for Perkins administrators, but please, please, please check out ICCB's website for additional information. So the CTE, I of course have to call your attention to the CTE page. And I will note that you'll find, if you go on there now, you're going to find some information is outdated. Some information is not up to date, but we are in the process of updating the website across the board for ICCB as a whole to kind of streamline things and make sure every department or division has their information located on the website. And so that process is underway now. But for now, the CTE page does contain information and they are linked. So each one of these is a link to the different pages. So useful information, resources that are helpful to navigating post-secondary CTE in general, and then also managing your Perkins 5 grant. And then there's a grants opportunity and information page that lists any competitive grant opportunities that are posted by ICCB. So including the notice of funding opportunities, information about bidders conferences, application materials, and all of those things for any competitive grants are going to be on that website. So if you're interested in checking out competitive grants, because as you know, your federal Perkins grant is essentially guaranteed. You don't have to write, it's not competitive. It's based on a formula, but will come opportunities for other grants, including Perkins leadership grants. Right now there's a trade school grants program that is through the CTE division. There's like a Rev Up EV or Rev Up EV electric vehicles grant that's posted right now. So lots of opportunities for competitive grants should you be interested. And so all of those will be located on that website, on that page. And then there's also resources and documents required for managing your grants. And so that could be anything from your payment request forms are there, the quarterly financial reporting spreadsheet for your Perkins 5 grant is on that grants opportunity and information page. There's information about your like the risk assessments that you have to complete every year for your grants. So that's on that website as well. And our grants management staff is directing people to use the documents from that page instead of you might download the quarterly financial reporting spreadsheet now, and then you have that and you're using it in your institution for the entire grant year. And then in FY26, you might, repeat that same document. Well, they're asking you to come back to that page and make sure that you get the document from the grants opportunity and information page annually, just in case the document changes on ICCB's end. So that's a lot. I think that you will see that we've kind of switched to providing links to the site to download information instead of providing the document in email. And you'll see both, but again, just be mindful that as the fiscal year changes to kind of go back and get the new document just in case, the document changes. And then finally, POS 2.0 is ICCB's Perkins data dashboard. And so that resource houses the Perkins indicators of performance data. So all of the colleges and then the state as a whole are measured against the Perkins indicators of performance. So that's your 1P1, 2P1, 3P1, your post-secondary enrollment and completion and non-traditional program enrollment, things like that. So that data, whenever you're usually a lot of times we'll go to that data around the time for completing your Perkins application in the spring for the following fiscal year. And so that's when that data is updated. If you go in there now, it's going to house the data that you all use to complete your FY25 applications. And then sometime in like February or March, it'll be updated with the information that's needed for your FY26 Perkins applications. There is a data lag, so you will see that with some of the performance indicators. However, this lets you know how you're doing at the college in terms of your Perkins indicators of performance. And you can look at any of the Illinois community colleges. They're all on there, and it's available to the public, even though there is a username and password. And if you go to that, don't think you missed something because you don't have one. You don't have to log in. You just use this. You have to log in. Sorry. You don't create an account there. You just use our general username and password. Everyone uses the same one. And it's just because they were working in the beta version and it had to be password protected, but everyone uses the same one. And if you ever happen to lose this information, it's on ICCB's website. We post, so anyone, who wants to access this dashboard can using the same credentials. Let's see. Okay, so again, I just want to emphasize this is not the three elements that I'm highlighting are not the only resources that are important. I just kind of limited, for the sake of time and space to three highlights. So please utilize that website for more information. So next, I just want to briefly talk about ISB, the State Board of Education. So as many of you probably know, ISB administers secondary education in the state by establishing policies and guidelines for public and private schools from preschool through grade 12. And as we kind of talk throughout this series, ISB is designated as Illinois' eligible agency for the federal Perkins grant. And so again, they communicate directly with the U.S. Department of Education as they're the recipient of the grant. They're responsible for the Perkins grant. However, ISB does delegate authority to ICCB to administer, operate, and supervise post-secondary Perkins grant activities. And so as a local recipient, as a community college, you wouldn't have any contact with ISB directly because ICCB does have the authority to manage the Perkins grant for post-secondary. But I just wanted to highlight ISB because they are an important partner and we do work closely with them to administer Perkins in the state. So I linked specifically up top ISB CTE page and some of the highlights. So they have information around career exploration and development, specifically for middle school. And so if you're looking for ideas and resources around providing, because as you know, through your Perkins grant, you can and are encouraged to help support middle school career exploration and development. And so I thought that this was a good resource if you're looking for ideas and I mean it could be something that could also be useful for post-secondary as well. And then they just have their general Perkins 5 resources. Some of the information might be duplicative, especially when it comes to the state plan. Because as you know, we worked together, ISB and ICCB worked together to develop the state plan, but they do have resources around the state plan and other things there. So I do want to point out that your primary Perkins 5 information is going to come from ICCB. However, I think that these could be, useful resources as well, especially to see things from the secondary side because Perkins does promote and require that secondary to post-secondary collaboration. So I think it's important to see what's going on that side. We are working to align our model programs of study here in this 4-year iteration of the state plan that began this fiscal year. But you'll see if you go to their website, ISB has their own model programs to study. And so it could be useful. Now, again, our Illinois post-secondary model programs to study are going to be your guides. But if you want to see what's going on the secondary level and how you can kind of collaborate and work together with secondary folks to streamline programs of study, then I think they're useful to check out. And then they also have some work-based learning resources that I think are useful, especially a work-based learning manual for K through 12 students. Again, this is important as you're providing career exploration development for middle school and high school students, as well as dual credit opportunities. And as you know, work-based learning is a required component of programs of study. And so there are definitely resources there that could be useful. And next, we'll switch gears and talk about a federal resource. Should have said resource, not resources. There's a one. But I just wanted to call out the Perkins Collaborative Resource Network, or PCRN. So this is website is maintained by the U.S. Department of Ed Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education, or OCTAE. So as we kind of talked again throughout this presentation, OCTAE is who provides and monitors the Perkins grant from the federal, or administers the Perkins grant from the federal level. And so this federal resource includes contact information for OCTAE staff, legislation and regulation, grant program information, accountability, national initiatives and resources, and just overall provides really good information on navigating CTE and Perkins from a national perspective. So again, they're linked up top if you want to check out their entire website, but a few areas that I wanted to highlight are their legislation and regulations. And so it provides full text like legislation for like Perkins, for WIOA, a lot of the like federal legislation that's aligned and pertinent to CTE is going to be on that web page. There's also a accountability area where, you know, with Perkins 5, accountability is designed to assess the effectiveness of the state in achieving statewide progress in CTE. But the local program data, so your college's data, all of the local community colleges is aggregated to provide federal reporting at the state level. And so all of each individual college's Perkins measures or indicators of performance data is combined to provide state level reporting to the feds. And that's how, you know, as a state, we achieve our effectiveness. And so there's information around accountability if you want to check that out. There's dashboards you can compare across other states to check out, you know, how other states are doing, lots of resources. And then there's some national initiatives page where you can see what's going on in CTE throughout the nation. And next, I'll switch gears and talk about professional development. These are ICCB's professional development partners. Each of the organizations that I'm going to highlight receives Perkins grant funds to help us to support Perkins, provide professional development for you all, and yeah, overall to implement and make sure that we're implementing the initiatives that are required through Perkins. And I think some of those are going to come out as we talk through them. So the first that I'm going to highlight is Ed Systems. That's Education Systems Center at Northern Illinois University. So we'll refer to them as Ed Systems. Again, they're based out of NIU, and they specialize in model programs of study, as well as career pathway development and implementation, and then other special projects. So they work, again, closely with us in CTE, but they also work throughout the through ICCB, working, with other divisions and departments as well. So one of their a big key initiative that they work on with CTE are the model programs of study, and I'll highlight those here. So the model programs of study are the guides that were designed to provide guidance and exemplars for local programs to develop or adopt, customize as you develop your programs of study for approval. And so the Perkins legislation requires that state develop model programs of study. And so Ed Systems has been really integral in developing our statewide model post-secondary model programs of study. So they're linked there if you haven't checked them out. They went through a really intensive process to develop the programs of study, including having advisories and stakeholders to engage and get these developed. They recently revised a few of the model programs of study, and those were published. They've also been working on utilization reports to kind of look and see how the model programs of study are being utilized throughout the state. They've also worked directly with community colleges to support model program of study development as well. And then next is their college and career pathways information. And so they've participated in several college and career pathway initiatives and projects, including the Career Pathways Dictionary is there on their site, college and career pathway endorsements, which are really important, required on the secondary side. And so there's also areas for post-secondary collaboration there. So I included that. And then they also recently helped with the Community College Competency-Based Education Pilot Program. And so there was a CBE grant where ICCB worked with a few community colleges and to kind of get CBE established, and I don't want to say established because it's not, people were doing the work, but to kind of get some models and some guides that other people could adopt when it comes to competency-based education. So there was a pilot project with several grantees that participated in hoping to scale CBE throughout the state. And then finally, I just list their general resource page where you can find reports, summaries, guides, toolkits, and other resources from Ed Systems. Next, I'll talk about ICSPS, the Illinois Center for Specialized Professional Support. Again, that is led by Dr. Amy Julian and Brittany Boston, who we work really closely with in providing several professional development opportunities. They are based out of Illinois State University and specialize in providing professional development and technical assistance to Illinois community colleges and partners within ICCB on several projects and opportunities. And I will highlight ICSPS as well. They don't only work with CTE, they work with several other divisions and departments throughout ICCB. So a few highlights. Again, this is a really awesome resource because, as you know, as we said earlier, ICSPS is helping to facilitate this session, this series. And so you'll find a lot of our Perkins related or CTE related professional development webinars, slide decks, and all of that information is going to be, you can find that through ICSPS's website and their YouTube page as well. But some things that I want to highlight, again, this is not everything, so highly recommend that you check out their web page or their website. But Perkins 5, again, this has the Perkins resources, including the Perkins Administrator Cohort information presentations, the Perkins 5 State Plan information, and other Perkins 5 resources. And I'd like to note that ICSPS has been a partner for a very long time, so they have a lot of historic information as well as current. So their website is always up to date with new information and contains historic information as well. Also want to point out the Equity and CTE website. So this is in partnership with ICSPS. It's not, there's a link to this. It's a separate link that you can find through their website, but it's also linked here. But they have equity resources related to special populations, diversity, equity, inclusion, and access, universal design for learning, trauma-informed care, civil rights review, house liaisons, and then the Equity University, which features training on instructional practices for post-secondary success or TIPS. And that is a series of professional learning modules that are designed for post-secondary instructors in CTE. So highly recommend that you check those resources out. And then the especially with TIPS is definitely something that you can share with instructors, your post-secondary CTE instructors, as a resource. Brittany's put some links in the chat for you. And yeah, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. They also have other CTE resources, including national resources and CTE webinars. So again, that does not cover everything. So please check out the website. And then finally is the Office of Community Research and Community College Research and Leadership, or OCCRL. So OCCRL is based out of University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, and their mission is to use research and evaluation methods to improve policies, programs, and practices to enhance community college education and transition to college for diverse learners. So with OCCRL, they help to develop the comprehensive local needs assessment. And as we talked about in this series, the CLNA is required through the Perkins 5 legislation. And that's where every 2 years you have to facilitate that data-informed continuous improvement process, where you're assessing the alignment of your local CTE programs and programs of study with the local workforce and economic needs. And so there's a lot of resources regarding the CLNA there. They're doing some targeted technical assistance right now with some select community colleges around the CLNA, but those resources are going to be made public and we'll share them with you. But they do have, previous websites and webinars and presentations posted there, where if you do need some additional support immediately with the CLNA, you can definitely check out those resources. Also highlighting their comprehensive P through 20 educational pathways. So resources for supporting the development of transparent, equitable, and supportive pathways through the educational system for all students. And then finally, I just linked their YouTube page, which holds all their videos and webinars related to their projects. And they too, as well, they work with not just CTE through Illinois Community College Board. They work with several other divisions and departments. And so now I'm going to switch gears and talk about some membership organizations that you can become a part of that are helpful for Perkins administrators and CTE in general. So the first membership organization is Advanced CTE. So Advanced CTE prides itself on being the longest standing national nonprofit representing state CTE directors and state leaders of CTE. Their mission is to support state CTE leadership to advance high quality and equitable CTE policies, programs, and pathways that ensure career and college success for each learner. And so this is the membership organization for state CTE directors. So every state is a member of Advanced CTE. However, there's opportunity for you to participate and join as a local CTE leader. So some things that I just wanted to highlight are their resource center. They a lot of resources that they've developed to support CTE policy and practice at the state local and national level. Additionally, the career clusters, they have information there about the National Career Clusters Framework, as you probably have heard, was recently revised and re-released. And we'll actually be talking about that next week. We have someone from Advanced CTE coming here to Illinois for our hybrid CTE uh, workshop. So that's next Thursday. So if you haven't had a chance to register for that, please do, and please share with your other CTE colleagues as well. So yeah, we'll have someone from Advanced CTE talking about that career clusters framework. And then there's this cool like CTE in your state resource where you can look at the profiles for all the U.S. states and territories. You can find information on school and enrollment data, funding, accountability indicators, state contact information, and then other information for secondary, post-secondary, and adult CTE. So if you're, looking for ways to collaborate, wanting to see what other states are doing, that's a great resource. Um, in addition, there's other, their resources and toolkits are on their website around all sorts of areas. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that I participated in the post-secondary leadership fellowship, post-secondary leaders fellowship for CTE leaders through Advanced CTE. So there's opportunities, and because I highlighted that in the next with the next organization, but I wanted to point out that there's opportunities for leadership development through Advanced CTE, post-secondary CTE leadership development. All right, so then next up is the ACTE, or the Association for Career and Technical Education. So ACTE provides members with tools and resources that they need to be successful educators. ACTE's mission is to provide education, leadership in developing a competitive workforce. And I think they've been around, they said, for almost nearly a century. Can everyone else hear me? It sounds like, oh, that was a note taker. Never mind. AI. Okay. So, highlighting some information around ACTE. So they have resources, again, lots of toolkits, information. So check that out. Advocacy. So they're really big on federal advocacy, and they have a CTE policy watch blog. So if you want to know what's going on the federal level in regards to advocacy, both Advanced CTE and ACTE um, advocate for CTE on the national level, and they work really closely together. So I've gone to conferences and they're both there, or they're, both collaborating to host and participate. So they work really closely together. They also have leadership programs. Um, so if you're interested in, advancing as a CTE leader, and you're, wanting to find out information about the leadership programs that ACTE offers, you can definitely check those out. And then I want to talk about the IACTE, which is the Illinois Association for Career and Technical Education. So IACTE, or IACTE, is a professional education organization in Illinois that represents all of CTE. So from middle school, high school, post-secondary. They're dedicated to the advancement of educators that prepare students for successful careers, and they provide professional development and networking opportunities. So IACTE is the state association and affiliate of ACTE. So on their website, on ACTE's, on the national level's website, they call the state associations and affiliates the backbone of local CTE organizing and advocacy. So here are some things that I wanted to highlight around IACTE, or IACTE. Um, they have the Illinois New and Related Services. So that's a sub that under the INRS. they have a post-secondary subgroup that's specifically for post-secondary educators or staff who work in CTE fields at colleges and universities. So this is something that they're really looking to grow on the post-secondary side, because what I've learned in like over the years of attending the IACD conference is that it's a lot of secondary membership and individuals who come to the conference. And so the post-secondary subgroup is really a way for us as post-secondary practitioners to get involved in IACD. And that, through additionally through at the conference. So their conference is usually held in February. It's going to be in Springfield this February. But that conference, if you want to present, so we can have post-secondary representation at that conference, because there's really a lot of secondary partners. So I highly encourage you to check out ACTE. And I don't have them linked now, but I will before this presentation. Oh, it looks like they are linked. Never mind. Um, and then again, the advocacy work. And so check that out. They're advocating on the state level on behalf of CTE. And then professional development, lots of professional development opportunities that come through IACTI. And then I'm going to wrap up with talking about a few annual conferences and meetings that should be on your radar every year. This is probably not all inclusive, but if I think of anything before it goes out, I'll be sure to add it. And they're not I guess they're kind of in order of a little bit of how the Perkins cycle works. But so Forum for Excellence is always held in the fall, usually around in September. That is the premier Illinois CTE and adult ed professional development, Illinois post-secondary CTE, and then our adult ed. And so we work closely with ICSPS and the Southern Illinois Professional Development, SIPDC, to host the Forum for Excellence. So that's always a great one. We typically expect that Perkins administrators will attend the Forum for Excellence. And these are links. So if you want to find the current information, like, or what happened at the previous Forum for Excellence, so information as well as any presentations, because last year was a hybrid conference, so there are presentations from that you can use as a resource, and just information so you can see like what the program typically looks like. Those are available in the link. Then the Transitions Academy. So this is ICAPS, which is Illinois' Integrated Education and Training. And so CTE works, well, this initiative is led through our workforce and adult ed, but CTE does work really closely at the state level in helping to support ICAPS and the Transitions Academy, and really trying to increase the participation of you all and state post-secondary CTE when it comes to ICAPS. And so there's a fall convening every year for the Transitions Academy, but the Transition Academy is a year-round event. So they hold meetings throughout the year following that fall convening. Next up is the Illinois Workforce Summit. If you've been around for a little while, this was formerly the WIOA Summit, but we have a new name going into next year, and that's usually held in the spring. And then the IACTI conference, put spring as in spring semester is in February. So technically that would be the winter, but spring semester. And then the Career Connections Conference. This is ISBE's CTE conference, and I'm linking that now because they have invited me to help to kind of plan and try to get more post-secondary participation in their Career Connections conference. And so we'll be working on that and then sending out information around requests for proposals and hoping that we get some post-secondary participation. Again, this is to foster that collaboration where, all the secondary partners are going to be present. And so why not tap into those individuals as a resource and, share about the wonderful things that are happening on the post-secondary side when it comes to CTE and how they, can collaborate and become involved. And then finally, PAC meetings. So the Perkins Administrator Cohort meetings, which are specifically designed for you as Perkins administrators. We get together once a year, once in the fall, as a pre-conference to the Forum for Excellence. And then once in the spring, usually around September, not September, sorry, where did that come from? Usually around March, right before we release the new Perkins application. So we'll usually take that time to go over the requirements for your upcoming Perkins applications, talking about your data. Jay will go through Jay Brooks from our research and analytics division. Will you typically come and walk through the POS 2.0 database to make sure that folks have a very thorough understanding of how to use that to get their Perkins data to include in the application and things like that. And then just any other pertinent information that we need to share with you as Perkins administrators. So those again are some of the highlights. Not inclusive, all inclusive, but these are definitely ones that I would say mark your calendars, put them on your list, and hopefully plan to attend. And then with that, I did this backwards. I should have had my questions first. So are there any questions?
Janelle, I have a question.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Go.
Jody from Richland. So all those organizations, do they get direct funding from Perkins as well? Is that the way I understood that?
The membership organizations or like
Like CSBS and some of those others, can they also apply for Perkins funding to assist them in their endeavors?
so they don't apply. So they receive Perkins leadership funds to help like the state level Perkins initiatives. So yes, they do receive Perkins funding from ICCB because they're carrying out those state level initiatives that we've included in our Perkins state plan. So yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So here is there's a link. Help us improve. If you all worked with me at all, I'm really dedicated to providing all of the support and resources that I can to you all as Perkins administrator, to post-secondary CTE in general. So you can be successful, and then in turn so our students can be successful. So I really want, I'm always looking for ways to improve and to make sure that we're providing the information that you need, the support you need. So please, please, please take time to complete this survey um, to help us. Again, this was the new Perkins Administrator Survey came about because our Perkins administrators requested it. And so I want to make sure that we delivered, and that if we did not, that we can improve going forward. So whatever information you want to provide, I do have some questions, and then I did leave an open-ended question for you to provide any additional feedback, and that could be around the timing. Like I know that this is a long time coming, and that many of you have been in your roles for a long time, and you're getting this information in a more comprehensive way. Thank you for the push to make that happen, and to provide this, hopefully at an earlier date for new folks. But please take the time. There's a QR code, and I want to say thank you all for joining, for participating. I hope that you found this to be helpful. Please complete the survey, and if you have any needs, any questions in the future, you can reach out to your CTE liaison. That's Felita, Katie, or Aja, or you can email me directly. and we will get you what you need. But thank you all, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.